I'm Matt Reed, and today we tackle your health, your mail service, and other issues that have people thinking and talking in Brevard. Consumer Reports just jolted the health establishment with a report showing 3 cancer screenings you probably need and 8 you should think twice about. We'll break those down with Florida Today health editor Chuck McClung, who sought responses from local doctors. Also coming up, Brevard postal customers weigh in on the impact of post office closings and the possible end of Saturday delivery. Is deficit reduction a good reason for that move? Luann Manorville has the word on the street. We'll also hear what Florida Today readers are saying about the issues. Alice Garwood shares her picks from the week's top letters and online comments. Now, my talk with Chuck McClung about that Consumer Report on the benefits and risks of cancer screenings. Chuck, Consumer Reports, I mean, they're known for testing sunscreen and cell phones. Cancer screenings, how did this catch your eye, and tell me what's behind this report?
Well, that's what caught my eye about it. Is this is a magazine that does a lot of consumer products.
And they're trusted for doing
Oh, yes, absolutely. But for them to delve into cancer testing, I thought that was a little unusual. So I called up there and talked to the director of, let's see, his name is John Santa, and he's the director of the Consumer Reports Health Rating Centers in Yonkers, New York. And he said the magazine has been looking at this for several months. I believe it started last summer.
So they had a little bit of expertise involved in the ratings and looking at the subject. It wasn't just some magazine writer kid out of journalism school telling you what kind of cancer test to go get.
Oh no, they talked to several doctors and health experts across the country about these tests. And basically is what they're saying is that Americans are getting over-tested for cancer.
Well, that's certainly one of the things that came up when they were passing health care reform was, were there tests that they could save on? Of course, now a lot of people are paying more and a bigger share of the tests that they do get, so it's worth taking into advisement the benefits of some of these things. Now, there were 3 tests that they said were worthwhile. Cervical, colon, breast cancer. Talk about that.
Right. And the 2 doctors, the oncologists I talked to in Brevard County, were in agreement with that. Those are 3 tests that are good. You know, they're worth the harms that they could possibly cause. Okay, the benefits are better. All right? However, there was controversy with the breast cancer screening. And these ratings are based on recommendations from the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, which in 2009 came out with these same recommendations. And they got a little backlash because they said women do not need to get mammograms until they're 50.
Oh, I see.
Yes. So after so much backlash from U.S. doctors, they kind of backed down on that recommendation and said women that are 49 and younger need to talk to their doctors.
Especially if they have a high family history or risk factors.
Yes, if you have a family history, definitely consider that. But talk to your doctor. The magazine also said the same thing. Talk to your doctor if you have any concerns.
I suppose that's probably the caveat in all of these. Well, let's talk about one of the first one that was on the list. Among the tests, they said you may not need.
Right.
The first one was bladder cancer, and Consumer Reports said that the screening is not proven to be effective. Most cancers are found without the screening and are curable.
Right.
Local reaction on that?
Dr. Todd Panarese, who is an oncologist here in Brevard County, said, you know, that's a test that really we don't do. There's not much to see. So he agreed. Avoid that one. It's not necessary.
The next test on their list was lung cancer. The Consumer Reports study found that this cancer, it's uncommon in non-smokers. I suppose that's good news. And the test is not very accurate.
Right.
What do you make of that?
Well, and it also exposes you to a lot of unnecessary radiation.
Oh, now, I see.
Yeah, but if you're a heavy smoker, Panarese said, go ahead and get the test. It may be beneficial for you. Is
that one of the risks that they were talking about when they say, you know, when you weigh the risks of the tests and the treatment versus the benefit of having found the cancer, that the actual testing itself might subject you to something risky?
The radiation, biopsies could possibly lead to infection. So and those are for other cancer screenings.
All right, the next one on the list was skin cancer. Now this one is a big issue here in Florida.
Right.
I imagine it is anywhere in the Sun Belt. Consumer Reports says that the effectiveness of screening is not proven, but see a doctor if you notice suspicious changes in the color, size, shape, or number of moles. Florida, really? I mean, I know I've been in for checks, and my
Right.
kids have had those as well.
Right.
What was the reaction here?
Well, I talked to Dr. Larry Bishop, and he's a MEMA dermatologist who totally disagreed with this. And he had said this, that his patients are his baby birds, and he would hate to see something that is preventable happen to them. He believes that testing for skin cancer could have prevented up to 95% of skin cancer deaths.
Really?
Yes. So, and he really feels in this kind of a climate that we're in Florida, it's sunny all the time, we're always out there in the sun,
Right.
we're exposed to it constantly. If you had one sunburn, you're at risk for getting skin cancer, so get tested.
Yeah, I guess we should keep in mind that this Consumer Reports study is for a nationwide readership, not necessarily one that's concentrated in an area with the kind of sunlight and,
Right.
and exposure that we have.
Another interesting thing about that, because I brought that up to Dr. Bishop, who had said, you know, skin cancer cases are up in Minnesota.
Oh,
He
really?
says they're cooped up all winter. Then as soon as the sun gets out there and it's nice, they're out there getting sunburnt like crazy.
Off go the clothes.
Yes, and here
You're
they
running
go.
out the
Yeah,
door with
you know,
their
you're on the lakes
alabaster
all day.
skin with no sunscreen.
Right.
All right, now one that I know a lot of our viewers are probably interested in is the prostate cancer screening. Consumer Reports said that men 50 to 74 should talk with their doctor, as we mentioned before, to see if the benefits of prostate-specific antigen test outweigh the harm. This is a cancer that typically progresses slowly, and treatment doesn't always improve survival. Is that the case?
That can be the case. It depends on when the cancer is detected. There's been controversy with this for a couple of years now. And one of our oncologists agreed with the magazine. It's really not worth it. He says 1 in 1,400 patients will benefit from catching it early. But Dr. Panarese said that they're catching the cancer or seeing the cancer in patients as young as 40 and in their 50s. Now, the survival rate for cancer, it's a slow progressing cancer. The survival rate is about 10 years. Beyond 10 years is not bad if you catch it early and treat it. Now, if you're an 80-year-old man, the test may not be necessary because chances are you could succumb to some other cause before prostate cancer would kill you. So again, talk to your doctor. I get the test. I'm in my 50s. I would recommend that everyone 50 and older get the test. And that's what Panarese had said.
Okay. Oral cancer. Now, I hadn't really heard very often of people getting oral cancer checks, but Consumer Reports took a look at it, and it found that neither the, I guess it's the CA-125 blood test nor the ultrasound test are likely to detect the disease at a curable stage.
Right.
What does that mean?
Well, it's a pretty fatal cancer, but it's something you don't need to be screened for because it should be part of your regular oral care through your dentist. Your dentist would see that. He would know something is
up. So if you're going to the dentist regularly,
yes,
you might catch it at a time when you might be able to
after
treat it.
Yes, absolutely. And plus, you should see your dentist twice a year. That's what's recommended.
Well, all right.
Okay.
Twice?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I try to go once at least.
Yeah.
But,
all right.
it's all those questions about flossing.
Yeah.
The next test on the Consumer Reports list was pancreatic cancer. They found that no test is likely to detect the disease at a curable stage. That sounds scary.
It is scary. Pancreatic cancer is pretty fatal. There's not a lot to do. There are exceptions. There are people that have survived pancreatic cancer. I had a woman call me the following day that said, hey, I'm a survivor, but she's a rare bird indeed. It's a fatal cancer.
That's sad to hear. But again, it does, in terms of pure economics, it does bring in the question of, is it worth testing for that?
The magazine and the doctors I talked to said no, it's not. It's just not worth it.
So locally they agreed with that as well?
Yes, they did.
What about testicular cancer? This was the next test on the Consumer Reports rundown. What they said was that most cancers are found without screening and are curable. I guess that's good news, right?
Yes, that is good news. And really, it's only high-risk patients. If you had an undescended testicle, if you have an HIV infection, or a family history of the cancer, it may be beneficial to get tested.
What was the general reaction to doctors about this kind of study in Consumer Reports? Did they feel like, here's this magazine treading into their field of expertise, or giving poor advice, or?
Dr. Panarese thought it's really a simplistic approach to such a serious topic, and each case is different. You know, each patient is different, so circumstances are different, family histories are different. It's a kind of a discussion you need to have with your doctor, and don't follow the advice of a magazine.
Right.
Okay. Talk to your doctors about this.
So what you could maybe take away from this is, don't take the magazine advice as something that, you know, to direction that you shouldn't even go see your doctor or think about getting the test, but that when you are talking with your doctor and there is the potential for needing screening, or there's a question about what you may have, weigh some of these information and the risk factors, and discussing it with them and deciding whether to make that consumer choice as well.
And Dr. Santa with Consumer Reports says all they're trying to do is create a dialogue. Talk to your doctor about the harms that these tests possibly could do and their benefits, to see if they're really worth it.
Now, I understand that this is a big dynamic, or the kinds of decisions or judgments that Consumer Reports was discussing is part of what is going on with Obamacare and that panel that's trying to decide for Medicare, Medicaid, what kinds of things they should pay for and how frequently, because of these considerations. Right,
and that was an interesting thing that Panarese brought up that I didn't discuss in the story, because the article, I needed to keep the focus, said it was interesting timing that the task force and the magazine would come out with these recommendations when the government is going to start paying for more of these preventive type screenings. Is that really the case? I don't know, but I thought it was an interesting approach to this report.
We'll talk more about health in just a moment. In other news, the Postal Service has proposed closing offices, ending Saturday delivery, and raising the price of stamps to resolve a multi-billion-dollar-a-year shortfall, which worsens the federal deficit. Luann Manorville asked people on the Space Coast for their thoughts.
How do you feel about the Saturday delivery of your regular mail stopping?
Well, I'm dealing with a lot of legal matters now with banks trying to foreclose on my property, and losing Saturday delivery is really going to hurt me.
Well, we're retired, so it probably won't affect us at all.
I really think it's a step backwards. It's like lessening our communication with the rest of society. You know, now I'm going to shut me off on Saturday. I don't get it on Sunday. Mondays are holidays, and now we're going to go into almost like 4 days without any kind of mail. I mean, I can't see it, to tell you the truth.
Well, it wouldn't affect me either way, because I don't do that much business, or I'm retired and my life's simple. So it wouldn't make any difference to me, really.
How can the Postal Service recover from billions lost in the last reported budget at this point?
Well, by shutting down Saturday delivery. I think they should have done this a long time ago. They've been talking about it for a long time, and it's about time.
They could probably save $5 billion a year if they get upper level management in the legislatures to work on the problem positively. I don't think they ought to lay anybody off, which they're going to have to do probably.
Probably better operational management, employing some tried and true industrial engineering tactics would probably make the post office run more efficiently.
They're a large federal government agency, and I don't believe they're run customer-oriented. If they start meeting the needs of their customers, I think their incomes and their profits would increase. They'd be able to compete in the open market.
Thanks, Luann. Now let's talk with Florida Today health editor Chuck McClung about a new tool for skin cancer screening and his recent report on when families should consider hospice care. Okay, Chuck, so we just talked about other types of skin cancer treatments or tests that you can get. For those who do decide to go ahead and get a skin exam, there's a new tool that a doctor is using here locally. Explain that.
Okay, Dr. Anita Saluja, a colleague of Dr. Bishop's at MEMA in Melbourne, has just obtained the Mellifine cancer screening device.
Okay.
And it just looks like what this does. It takes an image of a suspicious mole, gives the doctor a 3D image so that she can then determine what she's going to do next, a biopsy or just observe for a while. It's kind of, she's excited about it. Dr. Saluja is very excited. It gives her another pair of eyes. Now this Mellifine has a database of about 10,000 images of melanoma, and it compares the new image to that database.
Let's, we sent our cameras down to visit her and to see this, so let's take a look.
Mellifine is a breakthrough device that helps dermatologists analyze peculiar or irregular moles for more information for us to diagnose melanoma. So this is FDA approved, it's painless, it's non-invasive. When I'm doing your skin exam and looking for skin cancer, if I find moles that are suspicious or questionable, I may biopsy them, I may monitor them, or I may use Mellifine on them to get more information. It takes a couple of minutes. If I pick a few moles that I'm worried about and we're wanting more information, we use the Mellifine to help look through the skin in a 3D way, whereas I can see the surface of the skin, the Mellifine can look underneath the skin and give us more information on whether the mole is irregular, disorganized, not symmetrical.
Well, Chuck, what is the cost if a patient goes and decides that they're going to get a test with the Mellifine?
For each use, it's going to cost the patient $150, and that's out of pocket because right now most insurers do not cover this.
Oh, really?
Yes. Okay.
But so they would use this in a situation where maybe they observe that one looks questionable.
Right.
Do you want to go ahead and use this because it
Right.
might give us quicker some information without having to take a
a biopsy, because this image goes about 2.5 millimeters into the skin.
Oh, wow.
Which is better than the human eye can do.
And is this? I mean, we're seeing more and more interesting medical devices coming out with imaging and that kind of thing. Is this the wave of the future? Are we going to have machines taking a look at us for? Because
this technology is so new, we're going to have to wait and see. It's only been approved for about 15 months, and it just arrived in Brevard through Saluja's office. So right now, the medical community is saying, well, this could be the wave of the future, but we need to wait and see how this, how the results are.
Do they still have confidence in their own ability to observe and know what they're looking at?
Yeah, another dermatologist I talked to said that this machine will not replace a dermatologist's eyes.
I imagine these devices are pretty expensive to a practice.
Yes, they are. They're going to cost Dr. Saluja or me, I should say, $10,000 for 2 years.
Wow, interesting. Let's shift gears to another report that you printed in Florida today about hospice and hospice care. It's a dicey question and a dicey topic. Why did you take a look at this issue?
Well, I looked at it because there was a recent report that the use of hospice has increased about 40% over the past two decades, which I thought was interesting. But the thing about it is this hospice care is really suggested for people at 6 months of prognosis.
What does that mean?
That means if, you're given 6 months to live, then you should use the services of hospice.
I see.
Nationwide study shows that the median use is about 9.1 days. People would usually wait till the end of the days before they get into a hospice.
So why would you go earlier? What's the benefit of doing that?
Well, it's a team effort that they offer you. There's a lot of help for the caregiver of the patient, and also they help the patient. But it's a team effort between physicians, nurses, therapists, bereavement specialists, and they provide a lot of information and a lot of comfort and care for the families that are dealing with this. It can be a heart-wrenching time, and the patient.
So under what circumstances should somebody consider this? You mentioned that if you've got a prognosis of 6 months to live, but what if you don't know?
Well, you have to qualify for hospice care, and it's covered by insurance, so that's why you have to qualify. So if there's any question at all, a patient could ask to be, to go through the qualification process. That your doctor does not have to recommend it.
I see.
A patient can do that, but there is a process you have to go through to be approved, and once you're approved, take the care. Take the care. It's there for you. Use it.
Now, can you have hospice care in your home?
Yes, you can. You can.
You don't necessarily have to go to a hospice center of some kind.
Right. No, you can do it in your home. And a real benefit about hospice is it keeps patients out of hospitals. You know, there are patients that go to, you know, that stay in the hospital until the end. This will get you to the comfort of your home if you can, you know, if you need to be there.
Right.
But it's a service I think more people should look into.
Now, who did you speak with about this for doing your report?
We talked to Terry Stone with Hospice of St. Francis here in Brevard, talking about, you know, we wish, she's heard so many times that people tell her afterwards that, hey, I wish I'd have gotten a hospice a long time ago. She said people just need to know that it's there, it's available, it's not for the last 7 days of somebody's life.
Right. Seems like, especially for a caregiver, you know, we've got somebody at home who needs to be taken care of, looked after, cooked for.
Right.
That it can really wear out the whole family. And it can also be hard on the patient who maybe feels guilty or doesn't want somebody else to be put out in all of this.
Right.
So there are more than, I guess there must be several different organizations.
Oh yeah, there are several in Brevard. I don't mean to single out, you know, St. Francis, but there are several organizations in Brevard. Yeah, Health First has a hospice organization. Really, and these are wonderful, caring people, and they've been doing this for a long time.
You touched on it a little bit a moment ago, but what specifically are some of the types of services that you can get if with a hospice situation?
You know what? I'd have to look at my notes to go over that. I have them here, and I don't see them. They're not handy right now. Okay.
But nursing, dietitians.
You can get dietitian in there. You can get occupational therapist if that's necessary.
I see.
Okay. Like I said, bereavement counseling or bereavement support.
So it's a pretty long list.
It is a long list.
And you should check it out.
Yes, you should.
And look into it. Costs?
Cost is covered by insurance.
Okay.
Okay. There's no out-of-pocket expense, so cost should not be an issue with any family.
I imagine the health insurance companies and the hospitals are actually more happy to support the hospice program because there's less of the intensive hospitalization, as you mentioned.
Right. They're out of the hospital, which is a very expensive setting to be in, and then they're at home. Okay. There's no overhead there.
And the benefits, of course, we've talked about, the comfort, the security, and your needs are met.
Right.
Chuck, what's ahead for you with the health sections at Florida Today? What are you working on?
Well, in the upcoming Thursday's edition of Florida Today in the health section, we're looking at pre-marriage counseling. This is for Valentine's Day, of course.
Okay.
And we're looking at the importance of getting counseling before you get married,
So
before
a
the
mental
I do.
health issue.
Well, it is a mental health issue.
Spiritual
yes, right.
health
Because
issue.
you got to look. If the odds of successful marriage are 50%, and if you go to marriage counseling, studies have shown that increases your odds by 30%. So anything you can do to stack the odds in your favor, I would recommend doing that, and that's what we look into.
What do you do during premarital counseling?
Well, here's the problem with pre-marriage, or with not getting that counseling, is that we're in this state of euphoria. You're looking at everything through rose-colored eyes. This counseling puts a little, dose of reality to the situation. Looking at finances, children, unemployment, things that can actually come up that are going to, kind of take the
anticipate that these are going to be the problems
that
you're and challenges that you're going to confront.
Again, and a lot of a lot of couples really do not discuss these issues. They don't discuss family. They do not, they do not discuss employment, how to raise children, things like that. And those could really be big problems.
So
after
just giving you a framework for how to discuss this.
Right. Okay. And actually,
and clarifying some expectations, I imagine, up front.
Right. You just let's have a little dose of reality to that fairy tale wedding that we're about to get into.
Now here's public interest curator Alice Garwood with a look at what Florida Today readers are saying about the news.
The Postal Service's plan to end Saturday mail delivery in August drew a variety of responses from readers. Amy Titt of Rockledge opposes the move. She writes, "This is a shame for America. Our postal system is the best in the world and needs to be strengthened, not cut back to help UPS and FedEx. Will they bring you a card for less than $1? No. If you research the post office's problems, you will find that the GOP Congress passed a bill to weaken the post office by making them fund their pensions in a way that no other organizations have to. We need to repeal this bill, not stop Saturday mail to grandma. Brian Wilkins of Melbourne says ending Saturday mail delivery is a positive move for mail carriers. He writes, "A lot of carriers are for this. They actually get a weekend off rather than having to work a Saturday, and their pay will stay the same. Normally, they would have a rotating day off, but now they work 5 days and get off the entire weekend. Saturday delivery is overrated." Online reader Karen Kuter disagreed, noting that some news reports stating that carriers support the decision are wrong. As the wife of a retired letter carrier, I can assure you that postal employees did not make this decision. It came from management. Saturday delivery has been on the chopping block for years, and it isn't a surprise that it will be stopped, but put the decision on the backs of the right people. I'm Alice Garwood, Public Interest Curator for Florida Today.
That's our program. Remember, you can comment on anything you saw on this program or anything you read in Florida Today by writing us at letters@floridatoday.com. I'm Matt Reed. We'll see you right here next week on WBCC.